This is a very cloudy, overcast day, second day of February 1986. What you're viewing is 1926 Cadillac that I bought in about early summer of 1953. I've kept it all these years, kept it shedded, and now I think it's about time to get started restoring this old gal. There's the antique license plate that I bought, put on it a year or two after I got it. If it's close or not, you can see it. There's the remains of the B gasoline rationing sticker in the windshield. That, I'm going to walk around it, take some close-up shots. My neighbor is going to do the restoration on the wood part. Named W. John Peterson, and he is going to do the work of it. I'm over in the snowbank here. As you see, we have tremendous snowbanks in our yard. So, go back over on the other side. I'll do a little bit right down the side here, and you can see the overall size of this car. A little bit later, I'm going to do some real good close-up shots on the roof damage for W. John, so that he can see exactly how things are done and worked out. This is a rear view of the car. On that framework or bracket right here on the rear is where two spare tires usually sat, and one right behind the other. This is a trunk on the rear that we're going to have rebuilt too, and that's all built out of wood. And originally it was strapped down with a leather strap through a bracket and the handles on each side. I don't know if I can get the close-up on that. Yeah, there it is. And when the people were to go to their hotel room or whatever, they simply removed this trunk and took it along with them in. Interior shot, the steering wheel, which is all wood, and the controls. You can see the wood panels that were on the dash, and the horn button, and of course the wood steering wheel. There's the wiper. Had a hand control on it. No, this isn't a hand control. This is a crank that you would roll up the windshield. So at the bottom of the windshield here, you would have about a 6-inch opening for cooling, air circulation in the summer, and so on. I have removed the driver's seat. I have some blocks of wood here that we're going to put under the front axle when we get down. The driver's seat is very well destroyed, so we can't do anything. There's a broken window we're going to have to repair. There's a little shot of the back seat. I'll bend down, see if I can get a shot of the ceiling. The headliner upholstery is in pretty fair shape yet. Now down to repairing the roof. You wanted to get some close-ups here so that you could study the way the roof is constructed. I'll run a close up here and see what we can do for you. Okay. This molding goes right along the edge, along the rain gutter. It comes up like that and goes around the top. I'll get a shot of the rear here in a little bit. And follow this right along down to the front here for you. Here we get into the section that's really in bad shape. There's some of the rotted wood and some of the wood along the side that you were talking about. Follows this rain gutter around. It's all the way right around, all the way across the front. Now this deteriorated pretty bad. It's going to be kind of hard to figure it out. Now this is all right above this. I think I'm going to back it off a little bit. This is all right above this sun visor that came across the front, which is metal, but it is covered with the same type of material that the top is covered with. I'll back her off here a little bit. Now I think you had a pretty much of a full shot of the roof when I first come up here on the ladder. I don't know what else I can do for you, John. I am going to go around to the back side and do a little bit back there for you. Okay, John, here we go from the back side now. You can get a little idea on how those corners are. Now I'm going to have to move over, I guess, so you can maybe exactly see. I'm going to do a little more, at least on one or two of these corners, and then we'll look this trunk over again. Mouse hole. The mice have taken over pretty bad. I thought I had them all poisoned, but it's really hard to do. I'll do a zoom in on this corner, John, and you can see this molding down here along this rain gutter. It goes down, follows it right along, all the way to the front. Looks like it might even be aluminum. Not aluminum. And then see this all further around. And the Model A's that I've seen, their top come down over the edge further. I guess they were referred to as a different stock. This car is referred to, as much as I can find out, as a Cadillac two-door close couple coupe. Okay, once again, here's the old trunk. Construction of it, unless it's been rebuilt through the years, is plywood, and it looks like it might be that old plywood. See, there's a close-up of the leather handle, and right down here at the bottom, there's the bracket that the leather strap would have been fastened into. Then turn it right up through the handle. Alright, right over across the top, down the other side. The reinforcement on it, see, it had a leather patch put on the corner to protect the corner. And on the back, probably. And then patch of some type. I believe it's leather right there on the corner. The object you see on the left-hand corner is the gas tank fill cover. That's interesting. There's the patch. Okay, we'll do a little better focus. There's the gas cap. This gas tank situation is unique because it doesn't have air pressure in the tank. Or doesn't have a fuel pump, it has air pressure in the tank. Little tank, a pump on the dash. You pump that up, pump up the tank to about 7 pounds pressure, and away you go. Once it's running, it maintains its own pressure. There's a type of fasteners that were the top part, I think I have inside of the trunk, that flopped up and hooked over. There's a little lock on it. Here's another piece of leather strap that went over it originally. I hope this videotape works out, John, and we can use this for showing other people. I'm going to, there's the patch on that corner. I'm going to walk up here, reach out with my hand, see if I can open this trunk. And just do a little shot on the inside so you can see. It's kind of dark tonight already. Close it up a little bit. It's just a plywood constructed trunk. One small divider right here inside of it, and it was lined with some type of a bluish colored material, so it was quite elaborate at the time. I'm going to just take a look at the wheels a little bit to show you how good a shape they are. This is the rear wheel. I took and put 2 new tires on it, about 25, 27 years ago. They I've redone the rims and stuff at that time. But I've got to get 2 more new tires for the front. But look at the condition of the spokes. Just not 1 ounce or smidgen of rust on them, or rot on them whatsoever. I've had the car, as I said before, for like 33 years, and it's never been rained on during the time I've had it. All 4 of them, if you notice, same condition. They're in need of work, being cleaned up, sanded and painted. Originally the wheels were painted, not varnished like a lot of them are. The wheels on this one were painted a blue. The color scheme of the car, as you can see, was a very shiny black around the top, around the windows, fenders, and along underneath the doors, up into the front fenders, the hood, doors, and onto the rear body there, below the windows and above the fenders, was a dark blue. I made many correspondence with Cadillac, and I never was able to get the true colors for it. So we have to do the best we can. That little round shiny thing looks like a gas cap cover below the radiator there. That you removed and for cranking purposes if it wouldn't start with the starter. You see the fenders, everything is in very good shape. I'll do a little shot under the hood, and then I think we should have about all we need. Okay, here's the Marty power plant for this machine. It's a Cadillac V8 engine, more so like a Y8 on the heads. There's 4 spark plugs, of course, on each side. And then there's what they call priming cups. They were to add gasoline or starting fluid for cold weather starting. Generator sits right there in between. Fan attaches right to the generator. Great big old honeycomb radiator. And it was very interesting. There's the distributor back there, and as you can see here closely, right behind the distributor is the starter, and it sits up and down. Has a bevel gear on the flywheel to start it with instead of a straight tooth gear like our vehicles today. This is the fuse block here. These exhaust manifolds go down there. It had dual exhausts on it. They come up, run right along the top, on the top of the engine. And they have baked on porcelain, a black baked on porcelain. It has a aluminum piece going across the top there for the intake manifold. And then that sits right there below the exhaust manifold. And right down in there is, they call it updraft carburetor. It's again, behind it sits the distributor on the back part of the engine. The wires all come up, and for each side they come out in these tubes and go down to each spark plug. When I bought this vehicle, I'll do a little close-up here on it. Okay guys, this is the underside of the head and block of the engine on the left-hand side. I backed off a little so you can see what it is. Now I'm going to zoom in. When I bought this car, right here, between these two head bolts, it had cracked in a horseshoe shape. You can see just a trace of leakage there, down around here, right up past that bolt. And it had raised up in this area the thickness of the metal. I had an old gent in Albert Lee by the name of Pete the Welder weld them for me. Both heads were that way. And then down here on the underside of the block, from this frost plug, soft plug, whatever, over in this area towards this next one, it was cracked wide open. And I thought we'd had it, but the old gentleman patched it up pretty good for me, and so it'll work. Interesting note, the shot of the mighty V8 from the right-hand side or passenger side of the car. Of course, naturally, it looks very much the same. The thing that I wanted to point out on this side is right down there, under that head, is the oil gauge. I'm going to zoom in on it. What that oil gauge amounts to is it's a little pin. It runs on a float in the crankcase, and it goes up and down on the oil level. So all you got to do is tell at a glance whether you got oil in it or not. One more little feature, of course, that was done with these, it was done on these cars, is right over here, down here in the corner of the body. General Motors made the frame and the motor and everything, but it was bodied by Fisher. I don't know if you can make this out or not. Body by Fisher. This box here that I've got my hand on is dual box in the right front fender. Everything, as you see, down in the corners here by the doors. Very good shape. Not rusted out. All the way along. Right there is a little trap door that you would open when you lubricated it to grease the front greaser on the spring. Another interesting thing about the car is under the floor mats, we got a little rust here that we got to work